Hey folks, welcome to Friendly Orbit, the podcast that draws us together no matter how far we fly. I'm Ceres, craving a crown, and I'm joined by...
Ruling with an iron fist today, it's Thea.
Hey Thea, we're back!
We're back. We're back
playing
for Kingdom.
Kingdoms.
Yeah. So, last episode, for those who are starting this episode without listening to the previous one, read the title. This is part 2.
This is part 2. Yeah, so we're playing Kingdom again. Kingdom is a game made by the same guy who made Microscope, from Lame Wizard Productions, whose name escapes me, but it is in the description of this episode.
His name is Ben Robbins.
Allegedly made this game. No, he did actually make this game. And the goal of this game is for us to collaboratively build a kingdom together, a fantasy kingdom, to craft a place where narrative can happen. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, it's we will craft this kingdom, and we will tell the story of this kingdom, put it through different crossroads and see whether the kingdom will survive or collapse under the pressure from the outside and from the inside.
Kind of like D&D with no dice.
Yeah, and also it doesn't really have to be like a kingdom. Like, it's called Kingdom, but it's really we said it in the previous episode, it's really about building a community, which can be anything. But Kingdom is probably like the best example for like classic world building. What do you world build? Well, you world build the land.
Yeah. The same way that the best timeline to make in Microscope is one about a lab.
One about? Oh, because it's the Microscope, yes. Very good. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good joke.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Just straight
Welcome
up talk
back.
over each other.
Yes, straight up.
Best podcast intro ever. So we don't have a kingdom. We have a little outpost on Megafauna World, our world that we built together, playing a game of Microscope, which is all about giant Godzilla monsters and little squishy human-esque beings, none of them actually being humans. And we came up with an outpost that lies very far from the heartlands of civilization in this setting. It was originally an archaeological dig to an ancient ruin at the top of a tree. Trees are very big in this setting. Fell into calamity as the tree fell over, and thousands of archaeologists and their entourage of orphans and bakers died in the lava streams as this tree was carried by rivers of fire to far off places. But some of them survived. And those people, and that happened about 40 years ago, and in the intervening generations, we have built an outpost here and reconnected with the heartland of civilization, far away though it may be. And this is our little kingdom, and we spent last time learning some of the basics of the game. Basically, to set up your kingdom, you're supposed to start with like a name, a description, some threats to the kingdom, some locations, and then people in it. And I assume the people in it is going to be the most important part, because we have to make characters. We have to play characters in this kingdom as part of the game that I don't yet fully understand. So
it's okay. Neither do I. But I will be the one explaining it, so you know.
They will be the blind leading the blind.
Yes.
Through Ben Robbins' game.
It really
was
makes
that a
you
good
think.
recap? Did I cover everything?
I think so. Yeah, if you want to know more about our world, listen to 4 hours of us playing Microscope. I think it's
it was
entertaining.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
We think it might be entertaining.
Might be entertaining.
I got some listener feedback. It's better to listen to one after the other. So just, set up that 4-hour Spotify queue, get ready to binge.
Yeah. You can skip an episode of Critical Role for us.
Uh-oh. Now we're really competing.
Yeah, now
We're competing with the big leagues. We decided to find the biggest person in prison and just lightly tap them in the knee.
yeah, exactly.
All right. So, I guess we should
Honestly,
go
I think
over
even that an exaggeration. All we're doing is like staring at them from far away with like a slightly raised eyebrow.
we found the biggest person in prison and we gave them suggestive stank eye. All right. Our place, our kingdom, is a frontier settlement in the age of exploration. It is populated by bug people, moss people, myconids, Foss people, which stood for fire, obsidian, spider, scorpion people,
Yeah.
and squird people, which is a portmanteau of squid and bird, squird people. The threats that our kingdom faces is religious tension over the gods that are worshipped, emerging obsidian lava crabs from the nearby Crimson River. The Crimson River are like rivers of lava that spiderweb the landscape in this age. The weather, there are fire/lava storms, firenadoes, there's an ember storm, and forest fires. All of those sound like a really bad time. People are scared of bug people hegemony, especially after last episode. And there's a nearby ruin, and some people think we should explore it or even live in it because it's well sheltered. That is the ruin that started all of this. And there's always the threat of being discovered by a hungry predator in this setting and getting eaten up, anteater style. Do you want to run us through our locations?
Our locations, yes, let's do that. So we have the main city hall, which is in a bioluminescent aquifer cave set on giant lily pads. Essentially, we wanted a place that would be safe from fire.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have hanging gardens in the branches of the tree, built with Foss people as an adventurous youth space, like kind of like a giant playground, I guess.
Yeah.
But it kind of gets destroyed after every storm. So every time there's a firestorm, the playground changes.
Yeah, the art is rebuilding it, right?
Yeah. The real playground is the friends we make along the way of building the playground again.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a watchtower made of a mix of mycelial and chitinous tissue, so built together between myconids and bug people. It's the tallest building of the town, and it serves as a meetup location, alternatively to City Hall for military officials.
Yeah, this one I thought was interesting. This one is just like built out of body parts, essentially. I don't know if that's how the denizens of this world view it. Maybe to them,
feel
it's
that way.
completely normal. But from my perspective, it's kind of like, ugh, imagine a tower made out of fingernails.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Why is the floor? Yeah, nice rugs. That's not rugs. That's the floor. It's made of hair.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then we have the Hall of Memory, the cemetery, which is under the main city hall. It's a cavern made of rock and mud, and that's where we bury our dead, which Ceres chose to build, safely protecting the bodies of the dead from my idea that they use them to build the protective wall.
Yeah. I decided to memorialize them in a more formal way than making furniture out of grandma.
Well, you also complained that my pitch for the kingdom was too dark, so our roles are clear.
Yeah, exactly. I had to wrestle you away from murdering all the orphans, and now only some of them were murdered.
Yes. The moisture pits is the next plus that we have, which is they're like big pits in the ground. They're muddy, and that's where caterpillars are raised to harvest silk as well as flesh from them. And in the mud pits, a lot of handcraft work is done. It's kind of like the artisans' areas as well.
I remember
Like,
you saying last time, I don't know if this is still true, that there were trenches in there. Is that right?
well, the idea is that they are pits, like they're trenches, like they're dug into the ground.
Uh-huh.
So the caterpillars are kept like in like holes in the ground.
And are
So
there like
yeah,
trenches connecting them like World War One style?
I imagine. I mean, I imagine it to not be exactly like World War I, but I imagine that like the whole like area is like dug in, and there's like dug
Mm.
in roads and dug in bits. You know,
Yeah.
I think it helps when the firestorm comes. It's better
Mm.
to be like a little bit underground, and you can like cover up to protect
Well,
instead
and
of
also the moisture must help, right?
and the
It's not going to
moisture. Yeah, of
burn.
course, the moisture. Yeah,
The
and
worst that
finally
can
we
happen
have
is this whole thing turns kind of into clay or something.
yeah, exactly, just like glassed. And finally, we have the temple district where all the different like gods are worshipped within the tree. It's essentially this like complex of interconnected chambers,
Mm.
which serve to worship different gods. So we have like termite tunnels that lead to the fairy False Temple, open to the sky for the god of fire. And the chitin temple is like dug deep within the temple with like intricate murals. And I imagine that the Myconids prefer to worship in the area where the wood close to where the tree touches the ground.
And the coolest part about the temple district is that it preserves the tree magically. So this is the one part of the tree that'll never burn away,
That's
which is
true.
pretty
Too
cool and
much
interesting.
divine energy.
All right. So we've got our threats, we've got our locations. Now we move on to and our description, I guess. So now we move on to our people.
Our people, yes. So before we create our characters, we're going to talk about like people in general. So like
Mm.
who populates this kingdom. So we
Mm.
can have they give here, for example, like you can bring in specific roles and you can bring in groups of people. So you can have, we can have the exploration corps, the scouts,
Mm.
and then we can
Okay.
have the captain of the scouts, and we can have the
Mm-hmm.
doctor, and we can have the larva farmers, the caterpillar farmers.
Okay.
So yes, that's
So
what we do next.
all right. So we choose groups of people or individual people. Our choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The idea is to add. Uh,
All right. Well, you have to start because I did the temple district.
that is true. Here they don't say to take turns, unlike with the locations, but they just say to
Mm-hmm.
brainstorm them, and they recommend a number approximately 3 times the number of players that we have. So 6 in
Wow,
this case.
6 groups. Okay.
6 groups. Yes.
Well,
So
I
I'm
mean, if we
gonna.
are brainstorming, then like a temple group would be kind of obvious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Are they going to be a single group? Like, do they see themselves as a single group?
yeah. So
Or
I would say in a setting where the cultures are divided, like in a non-integrated culture, it would make sense to separate them. But since this is an integrated culture where like all people work together, I
Mhm,
think it would make sense for the priesthood to be one unit, right? For our groups to be by societal function and not
mhm,
by specific god that they align with, because society doesn't seem to be organized along the lines of what god you align with. Also, I have to imagine that it's very easy to amicably disagree about the religions in this setting because it doesn't seem like a very doctrinaire setting, like what the great skybird, right? Doesn't believe in circumcision or something, like it's weird. It
He
doesn't really make
might.
sense.
Well, he might. We haven't decided that. Would you like him to?
But it doesn't seem like it seems like the main disagreement between these faiths would be which animal are you helping, and which aspects of the animal, which ideals of the animal do you believe are like positive, right? But since each form contributes something valuable to society, it's not really, each faith still believes in the ultimate goal of serving society, right? And it's not like, I don't know, if you're like let's say you work in a cafe and your neighbor works as a baker, right? You wouldn't be like, fuck that guy, he's ideologically corrupt. You'd just be like, well, we serve different functions in society, right? I serve coffee and he serves bread or whatever.
Yes.
So like
It's weird that
I
the baker makes you circumcise yourself if you serve him, but that's the
yeah,
biggest.
so it's like I feel like this is a world in which disagreeing amicably about religion is very easy, because it's like, oh well, is being a moisture farmer not for you? Yeah, then you probably should worship a different god than the one that's really good for moisture farming, right? Like, if you
Yeah,
want to be a warrior, you probably should worship the chitin queen. Seems like a
yeah,
smart idea, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
like
I think that
it's like it's more like it's very easy in this setting to say, oh, this god is just not for you then, right? Because this god just gives you benefits that you don't need in your life, right?
yeah,
Rather than to be like, this is the one true god everyone should follow. It doesn't really make sense.
yeah. Though I mean, okay, we have defined this era as an era of integration and like, um, yeah, intersectionality between different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all good. But like, I just want to point out that like, our system of God is almost exactly the same system of gods that I adopted in Age of Extinction,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very easy in Age of Extinction to imagine how the system could lead to violent clashes between people. So I wouldn't, you know,
Yeah, like I
uh,
mean, you could be very like you can have a version of this where everyone's close-minded and everyone's doing their own thing. But in particular with the
that's what
different
this world
forms.
is also in its early stages, right? That's
Exactly, and
what
that's
the
what
the
this
Age
world
of
is in
Great
its early
Cities.
stages. But it's very obvious that these different physiological forms each have relative strengths and weaknesses that make them work quite well together as a society, right? And after the political lessons that were learned in the previous epochs, i.e., like empire and the feud dying out and all of that, right? I feel like, it's pretty clear that everybody serves a different function in
Yeah,
society. So it's not that like you couldn't disagree, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense in this case. And I don't anticipate a lot of friction between the priesthood because of the way these people must view society. They all live
yeah.
integrated together, different forms, take on different roles.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was 10 minutes on one population. So that this will be, I guess, our episode will be people.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll make more progress.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna make an easy one.
All right.
The foragers.
Mm-hmm.
We decided last time that only like at most half of the food is produced by animal husbandry or
Mm-hmm.
caterpillar husbandry in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So we have dedicated people to go out and be hunter gatherers. This world obviously makes it much easier for people, for like a small population, to support a bigger population through hunter gathering, unlike our Earth. But
Yeah.
I think we still need dedicated people for that. So I'm gonna add foragers.
Can I ask, if we have caterpillar animal husbandry,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean that, like, in this setting, there's only one animal that's been tamed, and like, I imagine you have like a little worm, and then it metamorphoses into a chicken or a cow or a pig, depending on like what you do to it, and then like every farm animal is actually the same animal, just in different like metamorphic executions.
I mean, that's already how the bug people work, right?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
But like, there's no way we can just. I mean, we can say that at the very least that's how like all creatures connected to the chitin queen work. So the bug people are the sentient version of it, but the
Yeah.
animals also follow the same pattern. So yeah, absolutely. You start with a caterpillar, and then you can grow it into a beautiful butterfly. You can grow
Wait,
it
so are
into
all
like,
insects in this setting subject to Lamarckian evolution?
it's not even Lamarckian evolution, right? It's almost like Pavlovian conditioning.
It's like Lamarckian evolution if it happened in one generation.
Yeah, it's.
Like,
I
how
mean, it's
did this
almost
guy
a
get
little
a really long neck? He just stretched it every day. He stretched it a little bit. And
every
now he's
day.
at 80, he's got the spaghetti fucking neck.
Yes, Father, why did you do this to me? This existence is awful. And it's like, yeah, we thought it would be. Yeah, I'm sorry. I bet with my friend that I could get your neck to be 10 meters long. I was right.
All right. If you do the foragers, I'm gonna do the farmers. Um,
Oh, we have
I
farming?
think, yeah,
You mean
and
the caterpillar farmers?
yes, exactly. Well, because the people in the moisture pits, right? They're growing caterpillars for food, but maybe they're also growing plants. I mean, I
They're
think
probably
generally
growing
speak
moss to feed the caterpillars. I
exactly.
can
Like I
imagine
think
that.
generally speaking, I mean, this doesn't have to hold true for this world, but in our world, I think it's a general it's a general trend. It's a general trend that
Trend.
trend uh,
Go back to the trend.
that agriculture and animal husbandry come together, right? That we do both. So like cultures that do one do the other. So I feel like there should be some amount of that, and I think it would actually be really cool to have like moss farmers or something like that. Like I
Mhm.
think the moss people might be really good at farming, and I can just imagine it well, and it seems pretty cool to me. So I'm gonna add that.
Cool.
And see, now we're at
Absolutely.
20 minutes. We have 3 factions already, so we're doing
Wow.
great. The graph is declining. Minutes per
Perfect.
faction, or minutes per peoples, is declining at a rapid pace.
I will say, I wanted to kind of like add like as an asterisk to the foragers.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that like the foragers are like they are foragers, but necessarily they're also like the warriors and the scouts because they're the people who go out there and like explore. So it's kind of built in to their profession that they need to be good at like fighting and hunting and
Okay.
exploring. So
So, are
they
the walls slash the tower guarded by foragers, or is there a separate, purely
yeah, I'm
military
kind
unit?
of like I kind of want them to be the same just to make it less like generic.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's interesting, right? It's not, it's unusual, but it feels like it fits for the setting. It's like,
Mhm.
you know, usually guards are not food producers in many
Yeah.
settings, right?
Well,
Guards are
sadly,
food
yeah,
receivers.
fantasy already has the perfect word for who these people are. They're the Rangers.
They're the rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And I'm
That is a
gonna
good word.
add Ranger Captain.
Of Eos. That's a little Magic the Gathering joke for all our Magic listeners. You're welcome.
What, we have magic listeners?
I
I thought
hope
we only
so.
had normal listeners.
Every listener is magic to me. And some
Wow.
listeners are Magic the Gathering trademark premium gaming. What is it? Premium trading card game for ages 13 and up. To me.
Yes.
There we go. That was a joke. That worked.
Yeah.
That was a joke that worked.
Thanks for Hasbro for sponsoring this video. Hasbro, the
Thank you
company
to
that never did
Hasbro.
anything wrong.
Thank you to Hasbro for publishing Magic the Gathering, I guess. It is obscene how much money those guys make. It's not at all the point of this episode, but it is obscene how much money they make. All right.
Do you want to rant about something?
No, it's okay. It's just you know, like the best-selling Magic set of all time is the current set, which has not yet been released, which is only available for pre-order, and it's already the best-selling set of all time. And it's because it's Final Fantasy themed, and they got like all the weebs and all the Americans who played Final Fantasy as a kid are like, and I just on one hand, I guess that's good for the company and whatnot, but it's just crazy because they're charging like 150% of the normal prices for all of these products, and people are still buying them at enormous rates. And I'm just worried about all these people's mortgages, I guess, which is weird. I don't know them, but it's just like, oh my god, how are people spending this kind of money on cardboard? Ah. I thought I had a high tolerance as a Magic player, but my tolerance has been shattered by recent events.
And it turned out that indeed he did have a rant.
You asked for one.
And you're
All
like,
right.
no, I don't want to rant. Proceeds to rant.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right. I'm hearing a lot of criticism from the peanut gallery. Um, is it my turn to add a people?
I mean, I didn't want to do 2 in a row, but we are brainstorming, so I could just go again.
So, all right. So we have the priesthood of the tree. These are also the magic people, right? In this setting. So this is also like the R&D, technology research, university side is already covered. And so then we have rangers. So we have sort of like a gap for like just standard skilled trade, but I don't even know if that's that fun or that
Nah,
interesting.
you need to think about like the frontier, right? Like frontier town. And like you know who we're missing, right?
The
The mayor.
doctor? I
Well, the
don't
mayor.
know. Oh yeah, the priesthood is
we
already the
we
doctor.
we know who the hell is like leading these people. So, I'm gonna say we're gonna maybe you can take inspiration from ancient Rome and say that there are 2 counselors. There is not 1 leader, but 2 share the burden.
I don't like
No?
that.
What?
I don't like that.
Oh, sorry. Ceres is authoritarian. I will write like big dick leader instead. Big
No.
dick
The whole
leader.
point is that like hunter-gatherer type societies are generally less hierarchical than fully agricultural ones. And even agricultural ones, if they're sort of in a tribal mode of existing, they tend to be more egalitarian. So I feel like
Ceres, we're like 5 ages in. We are like several like empires and wars into this. These people have
yeah, but we're
figured
in a
out the benefits.
frontier. We're in a frontier, and the point is that in frontiers, people tend to have more flat structures, right? The biggest hierarchy, where the Pope is, that's in the capital, right? The 7 layers of hierarchy, that's in the heartland. Out here, things are more fluid because it's hard to have and the rule of law is less enforced because it's harder to, because it's a frontier, right? And things are more governed by collective. If you look at like my experience with this is looking at the American West, right? When people formed territories and stuff like that. But there was sort of this phase before it was a territory where there was no local government, right? And it was just like people just interacting with one another, right? And then they would get a territorial government, or they would make it a territory, and then there'd be a territorial governor. And yeah, okay, that one person did call a lot of the shots, and that one person was usually a huge asshole. But I feel like because it's a frontier, we can do something, I don't know, more interesting than just your standard, this town has a mayor or this town has 2 mayors, right? Like there could be a whole
Hear me out.
council, there could be an assembly,
Yeah. Check
there
this
could
out.
be, yeah,
Huh?
a council of 3.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, why don't we rip off Brandon Sanderson and we do a one council, one for each of the gods?
Sorry, what?
Why don't we rip off Brandon Sanderson and we do a council of 5, one for each of the gods? Like, if you're intent on there being a small ruling executive committee, we could do that.
Sure. Is the Council of 5 going to be connected to the priesthood?
Seems like it shouldn't be.
Why?
Seems like
Why?
Well, okay. Seems like seems like narratively it wants to be, but practically you wouldn't. As a citizen, imagining myself in the shoes of a moss farmer, I don't want the priesthood to be in charge of how this city is run. That seems like rife with inequity.
Yeah. And
it seems like a separation of church and state.
That sounds like might lead to some interesting conflict. Who knows?
It might lead to conflict, but we're always so sad. Can't do that. That's like a serious conflict.
Okay. Council of 5 children have to be young. This frontier town believes in maintaining the wide-eyed wonder of childhood. That's actually how it is in Naboo. I mean, I'm not even like George Lucas wrote Naboo to be like this, you know, like how Padme is like a child when she becomes queen.
That's insane. I don't know who let that guy write movies.
I mean, he's good. He's mostly good at it. Well, he's good at some of it.
He's good at some of it. Yeah, I'm stuck. I don't know. I feel like I'm not being helpful. I just tore down your idea, and replaced it with an idea I like even less. Not because it doesn't work, but just because it's like, now it's sad.
Okay, I'll have you this. It's going to be a council of 2, which will make it easier for narrative purposes to create like interesting conflict, because the fewer people we have, the more we can like role play them out and track every interaction. But it's not even elective. It's like a rotating chair. I don't know how to describe it,
Uh-huh.
but like it is something that a lot of early democracies did, which is not have elections, but just have like people take turns in different roles. Like you haven't been, who hasn't been counselor in 2 months? You, okay, you're the counselor for the next six months, and then you switch.
That seems insane, but we'll try it. Rotating every 2 years makes like a lot more sense to me, or every
Yes.
like 1 year.
Okay.
All right, we have a council of 2. It does easily create narrative conflict.
So we have the priesthood, we have the rangers, the ranger captain, the caterpillar farmers, the council of 2.
Yeah. I'm having trouble coming up with places because, like, I don't know. I feel like I haven't figured out what it is yet I'm trying to do with this place. And so it's hard for me to, like, I get this way, that I get stuck, and I'm like, I don't know, what's another part of society? It hasn't really clicked for me yet what the scheme is, what the schema of this is. But we can't divide it up by form. I mean, we kind of can. I mean, the caterpillar farmers are mostly one form. The rangers are probably mostly 2 forms. So who does that leave us with?
Our audiences doesn't know what the forms are that you're talking about. Also, these are not all bug people.
Yeah,
you mean
forms.
sorry.
I mean, so rangers are probably going to be like mostly bug people and squirt people, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe foss people. I mean, being able to make webs and climb around on stuff actually seems like a really good movement ability.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have moss people and myconids, right? Those seem both like they'd be good at farming.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the priesthood, which is divided up into all 5. All right. I'm gonna add. What about like a shadowy squared priest? Because they're the new faction, right? So they're the one that people don't trust yet. So
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to have like a newcomer who's a shadowy, bird squid person.
Exotic, we might call it.
No, just. All right.
Just shadowy. Much.
Just shadowy. Just like with a mysterious past. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Cryptic. Squared oracle.
Oh yeah, oracle. I like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about an oracle already. I was like, but we already have priests. We can have an oracle amongst the priests, but yeah. Yeah. All right.
There's our people.
There's our people. Okay, here we go. Proud of us.
We did it in a half hour.
Within a half hour. Okay. Okay, we did it. We completed Make Your Kingdom. The first part of the game you have to conclude before you start playing the game. Now we move to the second part of the game you have to conclude before starting the game. Making characters.
Nice.
All right.
And judging by my experience with TTRPGs, this should be the fastest part, right?
This is the fastest part. That's what everyone says.
That's what everyone says about TTRPGs. They said, I got my character already. I just need to pick my spells. That's all.
Yeah. And, picking spells, the second fastest part of an RPG.
It's the second fastest part.
Make your
everyone knows a wizard is defined by everything but their spells.
Yes.
So these characters, does that mean that our narrative is going to basically play for as long as a lifetime or so?
No, we can change characters.
Okay.
That is all right. Our characters might die, but not without our consent. but they might.
Okay.
The narrative ends when we decide it ends, or when the kingdom falls,
Mm-hmm.
which is also up to us. So,
Okay.
making our characters. We will now create main characters and minor characters.
Sorry, I just had a great idea for people.
Oh,
Is
tell
that
me.
okay?
I'll allow it.
We don't have the metropole represented at all. Like, we don't have the heartlands represented at all. But I'm sure that there's people who go back and forth and take the route from the frontier to here. Either people like traders or people like tax collectors, people who are associated with the government back home. But that seems like an interesting presence to have in the town because they contrast with the local people, right? They might have a different way of viewing things. They might have a different incentive structure than the people native to the kingdom. What do you think? Should we make something out of that? Could we make a group of people out of that?
What if it's but what if it's like, instead of making it like a people, we make it one person that is like
Sure.
leading kind of like always the same expedition that keeps going back and forth. And what if it's a false person and we don't trust them because they're false?
That's interesting.
We're not sure.
I think a false person would also be good at leading a caravan, seeing as that the outward environment here, the main dangers are all fire related.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's do we want to bestow any kind of governmental power on this individual? It feels kind of interesting to me if this person had sort of somehow interacted with the Council of Two.
I think
maybe they don't have the same power, but they can like maybe veto resolutions.
I think maybe they have a little bit more of a soft power. You know,
okay.
Maybe over since we made contact, the city has grown thanks to like trade, driven by this person. But this person also has the power to like interrupt the trade, which would be economically disadvantageous for them, but it would be a lot more disastrous for the city. So they don't have hard political power, but if they they can make it clear that the city might suffer if the councilors pick something that the false representative doesn't really like.
So could this person be called a guild baron?
Yeah. Guild
Seems
baron
like a good time.
sounds maybe excessive. Would the guild baron really be the one actually like going back and forth?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it seems like they would go back and forth some of the time, but not on every trip.
Yeah.
Like it seems like the person one step above the person who leads the caravan back and forth every trip, right? So this is the person who that person would report to. So I don't know. Maybe guild baron is too high, or maybe we want to make it actually be the guild baron.
The emissary.
Emissary of the guild baron, or emissary of the government, or just guild baron's out, we're just calling it emissary?
I think the guild emissary.
Guild emissary. That makes sense. I like that.
All right. Yeah, you can write it down.
Okay, I'll write it down. Guild emissary, false person who controls a lot of trade.
False person who like leads a recurring caravan between the heartland and this outpost.
All right. We have guild emissary, false person, caravan leader. Foss again is fire, obsidian, spider, scorpion.
Yes, it's good naming conventions.
Yeah. All right. Tell me how making characters works.
Yes, Tolkien wishes he had the idea of false people.
Oh, absolutely.
Would
right.
make
and
the
we can
Lord
take
of the
on
Rings
Critical
20%
Role and
better.
Tolkien and Hasbro.
Yeah.
We're taking them all on.
Yeah. We'll just like schedule, we'll do the thing where we schedule a big like a fight with each and one of them separately, and it's all in the same place at the same time, and then we just don't show up and they beat each other up.
Right, because they would fall for that. They would just like, oh, God. Tolkien would be like, I'm an undead copy of myself, and I hate Hasbro. And Hasbro would be like, I have an unquenchable thirst for destroying Twitch streamers. And Critical Role would be like, no, that's me, but I hate Tolkien, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
we're just
have
sitting in the
decided,
background.
yeah, and we're like that, like those fools.
Yeah, we just rub our hands together. We watch them take one another out because we
Hmm.
all invited them to the same birthday party.
That's right. Actually, Matthew Mercer doesn't hate J.R. Tolkien. That's why we leave a note, a handwritten note, in his drawer the morning before the meetup that says like Marisha Ray sucks, signed J.R. Tolkien.
Right? Yeah. Signed Jolkien, Rolkien, Rolkien, Tolkien,
Tolkien, yeah,
and he'd be like,
correct.
"Oh my god, he used his full name! I can't believe it! I have to avenge my wife's honor. I have to
Yeah,
go here and beat up Tolkien's undead corpse."
Jolkien, Rolkien, Jolkien, Rolkien, Rolkien, Tolkien,
Yeah,
the one and
and
only.
then that'll cement our grip on entertainment. But in the
Yes,
meantime, tell
but
me
in
how
the
we make
meantime, we
characters,
waste
please.
enough time already. So, making characters. So we will make main characters that we'll use to explore the fate of the kingdom, and we'll create
Mm-hmm.
minor characters who will also be part of the kingdom and provide be like a supporting cast for our story. Because we're
Mm-hmm.
only playing with two people, we will each make a main character and two minor characters instead of one and one, which is what you would usually do.
Okay.
So, step one, what is your role? This is like, we don't have to necessarily start here, I think, but this
Mm-hmm.
is important to remember. I said it last time, I'll say it again. Main characters have control one of three powers or like roles: power,
Mm-hmm.
perspective, and touchstone.
Mm-hmm.
Power makes a character able to decide at different crossroads what the kingdom does and what it
Okay.
doesn't do. Perspective makes a character be able to predict what the consequences of each decision will be.
Mm-hmm.
And touchstone will reflect the desires of the people of the kingdom.
Okay.
It doesn't have to always be as straightforward as you might think it is. The book gives example. Obviously, power could be the king, but
Mm-hmm.
also a weak or more representative king who maybe is wise but doesn't have a lot of power within his own kingdom could be a
Yeah.
good touchstone or a good perspective. And a simple citizen who's leading a populist mob could also be power. So
Okay.
we don't have to think of these only in the most straightforward way. Then we have to, of course, pick who we
Is one of
are.
the powers time stop?
Time stop. That's the best power, because that's the power
It's the
that you
best
get
power.
when you're a creative genius.
I can't believe that never came up again in that movie.
I mean, that's like screen lesson 101, Chekhov's Gatling gun,
Yeah.
where you just set up a million things and then maybe you pay off two.
Yeah. And you look like a genius.
Yeah.
I haven't. If I know what role I want to give my character, can I just shout that out now?
Yeah. Just before you go,
Mm-hmm.
it will be possible for a character to change role, to
Mm-hmm.
usurp somebody else's role, and it's also okay for you to change character at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So those things will be possible. So
Okay.
it's not a huge commitment, but yeah. Yeah, let's start with ideas for which character are you and what's your role. So it sounds like you already have an idea.
Yeah. I want to play the captain of the Rangers.
You bastard. Okay. Okay, Captain of the Rangers.
Did you want to do that? Should I do something else? I have different ideas too.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
All right, I would like to play Captain of the Rangers. My character's name is Zula. She is the captain of the Rangers.
Start typing in the Google sheet.
And yeah, captain of the Rangers. And I think the power she should have, I don't think she should have power. I think like things have to get pretty bad in this place before she has power, right? Because theoretically, the captain of the Rangers should listen to what the two consuls say.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe she's like popular though. She's in touch with what people want, and so she's the touchstone power.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Tell me a little bit more about Zula. What form does she have?
I think Zula is an insect person.
That makes sense. Do you want me to remind you the different forms of insect people?
We haven't established any of these on pod. Are these real now?
I think they're real.
They're real now? Okay. Can I go see if I can remember them?
Absolutely, because I need to figure out where I have it in my laptop. So yes.
Okay, so the
Arithrai.
the name. So okay, sure. We came up with a name for bug people called Erythrai, or Erythrai.
That's a very generous we, but it's okay. I'll share credit.
And we and they have 3 different forms. Basically, the idea is that there's a base bug people form that bug people have, but then if you like distinguish yourself in service, you can get like an elevated form. And this is true of all the forms.
You're getting it. I mean,
this is true of all.
You're either skipping stuff or
I'll come back to it. So the way it works for all the gods is that they sort of have a base form, which is heritable, and then they have sort of elevated forms that you get from excellent service. But what's unique for the bug people is that they kind of go through this puberty metamorphosis stage where they get to choose their lesser form. So all the gods come with a lesser and elevated forms, but the keratin goddess comes with multiple lesser forms. And there's 3 lesser forms that you can choose to morph into as a teenager. And they're all like Lightweaver, like they're all like nouner.
Blade Dancer, Stormbreaker.
Are these? Okay. I was supposed to guess these ones.
Sorry.
All right. I think it was Blade Dancers, Light Singers, and I can't remember the last one.
Okay, we have Blade Dancer, which is inspired by wasps, mantises, jumping spiders, grasshoppers.
Yeah.
Stormbreakers, which are like the big bulky ones, hunter spiders, crabs, beetles. Then you have Lightbenders.
Wait, crabs?
Yes.
Those aren't bugs.
Neither are spiders.
Was one of them spiders?
Jumping spiders. Yeah.
Ah! Unbelievable.
I have included everything that is chitinous. Chitin is not unique to bugs, to insects.
Yeah, but scorpions and spiders are clearly a different god, so...
Yeah, but they're fire and obsidian. They clearly have a very unique niche.
That's true, but also it's lava crabs that come out of the thing, so you have, like... You're infringing on 2 animals at minimum.
I know of something called convergent evolution. And if you had paid more attention in evolution class, you would have known that.
I paid enough attention to know it was called biology class.
No, we actually had evolution class.
No,
together.
That's not true. We had evolutionary biology, which is a different class. It's not evolution class. So,
actually, you should eat shit. So.
All right. So I think Zula is based on a wasp.
Okay. So we have Blade Dancers, Stormbreakers. Then we have Lightbenders based on butterflies, firelights, gem scarabs, all the shinies.
Yeah.
And then we have Life Singers, ants, termites, bumblebees, and they're like stout, gentle, and nice, and kind of support. They're the support class.
Wait, so there's 4 or 3?
Yeah, there's 4.
Wait, so what's the difference between the Smarty Pants and the support class? What are those 2 called?
Lightbender and Life Singer.
Oh, that's too similar. We need to change that.
Okay.
But okay. Life.
Wait. Prism Benders.
Wait, I'm so confused. Life Singers? Yes?
Life Singers and Light Benders.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. No, yeah, I think we need to change
Okay.
one of those because I'm already confused. I don't know which one is which.
Well, light benders are the ones with the light and the colors, and the life singer are like the social insects who are like nice.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Anyways, we'll figure out as we go through the setting. I think we'll do an episode at some point where we do like a big naming update and we rename everything.
yeah,
And
that episode will get a lot of views.
that'll get a ton of views. All right. Anyways, I think Zula is like a wasp. I think she is a good fighter, but she's a nimble fighter. You know, out on the frontier, you want to be mobile. You want to be moving around. You don't want to be too big and too slow and get squished by things.
Yeah, I think
And the other two ones,
Stormbreaker forms will do a lot of like heavy lifting at home. Like they
Yeah.
will not be explorers, but they will help a lot in like construction work.
she'll be the Blade Singer form.
Blade Dancer, Blade Singers from D&D. You fake fan.
I mean, it's your fault for naming them something so similar. Yeah, she'll be Blade Dancer form, and she's popular.
She's popular.
She's
All right, so she's
popular
down to earth. She's done with the people.
Yeah, because she's insightful and wise and helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's just good at her job. She's
Yeah.
good at her job, and that makes her popular.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's this character. That's Zula.
Okay. I might call her Azula accidentally because of, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I will try not to.
Well, that would be on you.
Correct.
All right. What ideas do you have for characters?
So I think that it would probably. I don't remember exactly how it works because I read the rules last week, and I didn't go through all the rules again because, you know, we're not going to use them. Maybe, I don't know. I think that it would be bad if we did. Might be a little bit awkward if we didn't start with like a power rule. That might change later. But yeah, for now I think I might take power.
Okay.
And I will play one of the councils of two.
That makes sense.
I will play one of the counselors.
What's the vibe with this counselor? Is this a good person or a bad person? Are you a corrupt mayor? Are you
I think
ready to do what's necessary for survival? Are you distracted from your roles of power because of personal issues?
I think that this counselor is quite old and has watched this community go from like the isolated frontier settlement that it was used to growing and getting stronger, but also reconnecting with the heartland and becoming more dependent from it. And I don't think that this counselor necessarily likes the direction that things are going. And because he can't get reelected, he is keen on pushing like through changes that will restore the independence of this place before his term ends.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think this will be a Myconid person. This will be a Myconid.
Do you like Counselor Grelick?
I like the sound of that. I don't like Grelick specifically. But like, I like where you're at. I like how you're thinking.
Grelin?
I think Krellick with a C.
All right, Krellick. Sound like somebody opening up a can of peanuts at the movie theater.
Myconid councilman. Do Myconids have genders?
That is for you to decide. Well, we had Puff. We had Puff the Myconid. I don't remember if Puff had a gender. I feel
We
like
had I think the necromancer Myconid, who watched
yeah,
upon the destruction with mournful regret. Did
yeah.
so. Yeah, I mean, maybe they don't have like biological sexes, but I can imagine them kind of like appropriating the concept of gender from other people and making it their own.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like Krellick, old Myconid councilman, nostalgic for more independent uh
Is my
settlement.
bond do so characters I can see here, they have bonds and they have locations.
Yes.
Um is my bond to a person or to an ideal or to a place?
It's going to be to a person.
To a person.
Nostalgic for more independent settlement.
The days of the past.
Yeah. Old term limit close to expire. And I'm gonna say that he's very gentle.
Okay.
Okay,
I
we did
have
this.
this sounds like this you're gonna call this bullshit, but I have a great idea for my first bond. My
Uh,
first bond is Krellick. An
what?
old Megafauna councilman.
Yeah. So interestingly, here is that the bonds need to be to like the player to your left, basically.
Okay, well you're to
Uh,
my left.
yeah, and you're to my left.
So perfect.
And so yeah, so we have two different bonds, but you get to pick one and I get to pick the other. So like your bond one will also be my bond one, and my bond two will be your bond two. But the interesting thing is, of course, they can be asymmetrical, right? Like we can feel
Uh-huh.
about them differently.
Yeah, so I think Krellick is an old Myconid councilman who I have a personal relationship to, maybe. Who was how about you were in Erzat's father
Okay.
figure to me.
It's better than my idea for an erotic one, so it sounds good.
Oh my god. And while I value you, your politics are not gonna work for me. Right? So I feel like she's like, look, we're becoming more dependent on the heartland, but you're just looking at that in a vacuum, right? Like as a society, the quality of life is increasing and people don't want to go back to the old times. The old times sucked, right? And so there's sort of this thing where it's like, look, I respect you and I think that you're really cool and I appreciate your wisdom, but I don't think you understand where the people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like your heart's not with the people, your heart's in your past. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how that bond works, I think. Where she's like sad, right? She's like, I wish I respect him and I think he's cool. I really wish he was in touch with the people. He knew what they wanted, but he doesn't.
Yes. Well, then I'm gonna say that he cares about Sula a lot and feels like she is leaving him behind.
No.
Yeah.
Why do you make everything so sad, man?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make him a stereotypical conservative. He he fights with her at every Thanksgiving. And he disapproves that she is dating a girl bug. He's like, actually, no. That's boring. He disapproved that she is dating a different bug form. It's like Blade Dancer. She's mate with Blade Dancer. None of this light bender bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm sorry. Sadness it is. Bond 2. I'm gonna say that Relic has a lot of respect for the Ranger Corps.
Wait, what? So we have the most parasitic insular bonds ever. Then Zula obviously leads the Ranger Corps, and she has I think she has a lot of respect for them too, but I think that's implicit in the fact that she's their leader, but I think she worries
Well, this would be
about
more
them.
about how Zula feels about like Krellick, about like the council, right? About the institution of the council. Probably.
Oh,
Like
okay.
this is our professional dimension.
I see. Okay. Well then, I mean,
Because like my bond
I
also has to be to you, so I'm like, I also have a different. There's a different level of bond with you, which is how I feel about your job.
I think the city council system is flawed and outdated for this for this for this society, like for this stage of development.
Mm-hmm.
Um Especially that thing where you don't need to worry about re-election at the end of your turn. All right. Cool.
Cool.
That is my second bond written. What's up next? What do we do with these location fields?
Perfect. Now location. Locations is simply pick two places where your character would be found. These will be useful later when we talk about like having scenes. It's just like good. It's
Mm.
more. It's conducive to like having like flavorful like settings for it. So I'm gonna say that Krellick can be found. Well, of course, in Main City Hall. That goes without saying. And because he's old, he can be found at the Hall of Memory, visiting his friends.
Oh fuck.
I'm sorry, I was thinking
Man.
originally Temple, then the idea of the Hall of Memory popped into my head, and I was like, of course he would be there.
Man. Um I think so. I mean, our locations would say I have to say that the Watchtower.
The Watchtower feels like a natural place for you to be.
I just feel like maybe she doesn't like being at the Watchtower because she wants to get away from it sometimes, right? Um, and I feel
Well,
like
she is perspective. She is a touchstone, so she could definitely be someone who can be found amongst the people in the more popular districts.
yeah. So I kind of like the idea of her being towards the temple because that feels like an alternate and challenging center of power to the main city hall. Um, I also could imagine her in the Hanging Gardens because this is a place where like people come for entertainment, for enjoyment, to be in the gardens, to be outdoors, and she's a ranger, so she probably spends a lot of time outdoors. But she probably should also be at the Watchtower some amount of the time. How do you think I resolve this?
You can pick two places. So maybe you can start by thinking which are the ones that are not interesting to you.
Yeah, basically the thing is I have three. I have three that are interesting. But
Well, I
one of
think
them
that
I'm only
I
doing because
think
I
that the
feel like I
gardens
must
are
do
the
it.
less. I think that the gardens are the least interesting for us
Yeah? Why?
because it's a playground for young people, and we made adult characters with a lot of responsibilities.
Well, it's a playground where younger people hang out, right? But that doesn't mean children. This is like where the teens hang out. This is where the new
Uh,
recruits go.
yeah, but you're neither. But yeah, you could go hang out with the recruits, I guess.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I feel like I like the basically the main issue is I like the temple because it has sort of a sense of authority to
we
it.
can
That's like
we can have scenes with your character in other places. It's okay. Like it's
yeah.
just
All right. I'll do the watchtower and the moisture pits. Those feel like two contrasting locations, and it would make sense for me to be in each of them.
mm,
All right, those are our characters wrapped up.
perfect. Then okay.
Is this the part where we get into the main game?
No, minor characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so minor characters don't have roles, and they won't have any of the special authorities that the rules give to main characters. They still might be very important people, just that's to be clear. You know, you could make the second council person as a minor
Yeah.
character, and it
Yeah.
would still, be a very powerful character in story, but that councilman wouldn't be the person actually making the decisions.
Yeah.
Krennic would at the end. Yeah. And one thing that one reason why I would also say, for example, that you are probably like, if we have another council person, it will be you to make it, is that they encourage you to write, to pick characters who would interact with like other people's main character more than your own. So like I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
make a second council person because then I will have, and I might end up role playing with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So who starts with secondary characters? We make 2 of these, right? Do you have a place on the sheet where we're supposed to put these people?
No, as a fake fan of Ben Robbins, I have forgotten to put it in. But we can put them under ours, I guess. That will
That's
make it
pretty
very
unforgivable and awful if I do say so myself.
yeah. I should die.
You should. All right. Is it my turn to make a minor character first?
Sure, you can go.
Okay. I have a cool idea for a minor character, but I want to get your opinion if it's maybe not good for me to have them because they might be someone who RPs with Zula too much.
Hmm.
I was thinking, what if there was a character, something like Naran, a moss farmer of some standing and influence who represents like the dissatisfaction in the city with like the political status quo because it feels like we're going in a political direction.
I mean, do you and I ever not do that?
um,
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how that character might end up interacting with you more than
so should I not do it? Should I do something else?
I mean, you can. I like the idea. If you want to, I can adopt them.
Okay, that's cool. You adopt them.
Narad.
Naran, yeah.
Naran. How many A's? As many as I want to.
Oh, you did the Brandon Sanderson thing too, where you had 2 consonants that normally have a vowel in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Just do Naran.
Yeah. So description.
Naraan.
Yeah. Mouse farmer of status with dissatisfied by current political climate or whatever.
I think it's only fair then. Do you have a suggestion for me?
No, not really. I would rather think about my own for now.
Okay.
But if I have some, yeah,
Should I do another then, or do you want to go
sure.
twice?
No, you could do your next one.
All right. I will do Corcel, the guild emissary.
The guild emissary. All right.
The guild emissary. And what does the guild emissary want from the city? Good trade, obviously. Guild emissary wants to build up the city, integrate it more. I think the guild emissary. I think the guild emissary wants trade, investment, and an end to outpost autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the guild emissary wants. And maybe we'll find more dimensions to this character as we play.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good starting point.
Mm-hmm. I will have Unquali, the shadowy oracle.
Okay. Yeah, I thought this person should be Unquali. Damn, I like that name. It does kind of read like unqualified, Um, now that I look at you type it out, so maybe there's something we could do there. But there we go, perfect.
Yeah, for the
Unquali
audience,
the
I
Oracle.
wrote it as OONQWALI.
Yeah, instead
I
of
hope
just
that's not a slur in your
unqualified
language.
without the fide.
Yeah. Unquali. All right. And Unquali is cryptic, knows something about the nearby ruins, and wants the Rangers to explore them more. Won't say why.
Okay. And I'm gonna do Tarn. A big bug folk counselor, junior to Krellick, who is unsure of his political opinions and torn between poles. So this is someone you can manipulate. I made you a follower. All right.
Thank you.
So, our progress from this session is people. We came up with the priesthood of the tree, the rangers, the caterpillar farmers, the ranger captain, the council of two, the cryptic squid oracle, and the guild emissary foss person caravan leader. We also made some characters for us to play. Tell us about our protagonists.
Well, we have Zula, a wasp blade dancer Arithrai, who is our touchstone character because she's down with the common folk. You know, she understands them. She is the she works as the captain of the Rangers, and yes, very popular with the people in general. And she seems like her and my character. She has kind of like this ersatz father figure called Kralek, an old Myconid councilman who she values like as a person, as like someone who raised her and someone she cares about, but she can't really get behind his politics. So Kralek is like an old nostalgic Myconid councilman who's who wants to try to make sure that his vision for this settlement comes to pass, which is a more independent settlement that does not rely on the heartland as much, and remains more independent and away from the influence of more powerful people. He cares a lot about Zula, and he's feeling like she's leaving him behind. Like she only sees him as an old someone who is old and out of touch and like who doesn't really matter anymore. But he respects her and respects her office a lot because he grew up respecting the Ranger Corps a lot. While Zula, the ever ungrateful, thinks that the city council system is flawed and outdated for this society. And that there should be a different system because as it works right now, the role of counselor is basically like a rotating chair, and everybody gets to be counselor for a term of, what did we say, 2 years or 1 year?
2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
All right, and your minor characters are Naran, a moss farmer of status who's dissatisfied with the current political state, as well as Unquali the Oracle, who is the cryptic squid person oracle who knows something about the nearby ruins and wants the Rangers to explore them more, but won't say why.
Yeah. Then we have Corcel, guild emissary foss person who wants to grow the trade between the heartland and the settlement to increase investments and kind of put an end to the outpost autonomy once and for all. We also have Tarn, a big bugfolk counselor, who is a junior to Kralik and is a bit still unsure about his political opinions, and he is torn between poles, and might be a figure that Kralik has exerted some influence over.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, you're right. We're out of time for the rest of this episode.
Mhm.
So that's what we've got going on. Next time we'll play the game actually.
Yay, we
Uh
did it.
do you have anything you want to plug?
Do I have anything I want to plug? Oh, well, we have both something that we may or may not want to plug, because we both saw Thunderbolts, didn't we?
Yes. The more I talk about it, the more confident I am. It is a 6 out of 10, which on my scale, where 0 means a waste of your time, 5 means it is worth your time, and 10 means it is a movie you will remember forever. And when you talk to people in future and you say, "Oh, yeah, my favorite movies of all time are XYZ," it'll be somewhere on that list. I would say it's a 6. It's entertaining. You don't walk out of the movie feel like, well, I'm never going to get those 2 hours back again. But it's also not really to the level where it's going to be memorable. For example, like we were both discussing this today, we would both rate it under Guardians of the Galaxy, under the original Avengers movie, under many MCU movies, but not under many recent MCU movies.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing. I think people are like talking about it like this movie is like revolutionary, or like finally Marvel is back, and I'm like, is it? Like, it's fine, but this movie doesn't really strike me as
yeah, like
like it definitely feels
if
like a
this is the
return to
swing
form.
in the right direction,
Yeah, this is a swing in the right direction.
if
That's correct.
if this is the start of the trend, perfect, right? But if like it's this movie and then the next movie is a little worse than this movie, and then the one after that is kind of the same quality, and then the one after that is like slightly worse, and then the one after that is slightly better than this one, then we're not in for a good time. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean,
Because that means we're in for a world of like 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Or something like that. And that's like not what I would consider like a great movie series. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, one thing that I appreciated about the movie, like within the context of the MCU, is that it feels like a movie with a plan. Like, I'm excited to see what they're doing next with these characters, because it feels like they have a plan finally.
Yes, I agree.
And the movie actually had an after credit scene that was like the old after credit scenes, where they would
Yeah,
set up a thing, and the thing is in the next movie. And
yeah,
so the after credit scene makes me excited about the next movie, and it doesn't make me go, well, I hope we see this purple lady again in the next Doctor Strange movie in 2028.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Right. I mean the MCU, and we could talk about this for a long time, but the MCU has gone through a lot, and this feels like they've maybe found their feet again to some degree to have a plan with these characters, something they want to do with them. I still
Yeah.
think the MCU has too many characters right now, and suffers from bloat, from narrative bloat to some degree. But and I do think that this movie in a vacuum probably would have been better if it wasn't tied to the MCU universe, like if it didn't have the burdens of that. But it is an MCU installment. There's nothing you could change about that. That's already part of the movie. And having it be part of the MCU installment, well, it's better than anything else I've recently watched from the
Yeah.
MCU, right? But that doesn't mean that it's good, right? It's not Iron Man 1. It's not Captain America the Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's
I
decent.
watched, yeah, like speaking of like comparisons, I like the movie that I saw before this movie, like a week ago, was Sinners,
Yeah.
which is like amazing. And so just like by comparison, the movie doesn't stand, like doesn't the comparison, it just like cannot stand the comparison. But like if you
Yeah.
compare it to a lot of recent Marvel movies, which I haven't seen, it, it's much better. But I haven't seen those movies
Yeah,
because
I would say it's worse than Mickey 17, which is the last movie that I watched in cinema.
mm,
Um so
yeah.
uh Yeah, but I appreciated it because it did feel like there was a plan and a structure and some amount of competence. You know, I had fun during Deadpool and Wolverine, but that was the last Marvel movie that I watched, and it's just pure spectacle and comedy, right? And like none of it's like And then the one I watched before that was Quantumania, and that was an abysmal movie. So I'm there was just a moment during the movie where I was like, wow, I'm enjoying this, and I care about these characters to some degree, and I'm thinking about these characters' pasts and their futures, and I was like, this is a nice feeling. I'm back a little bit, you know. So
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's wow, this plug is long. We are just like airing all of our feelings about the MCU right now. But yeah, I enjoyed it more than Deadpool versus Wolverine. But like, I also feel like I have enjoyed Deadpool versus Wolverine and Thunderbolt less than what most people seems to have enjoyed them. So I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
I
seem to
mean,
be very in tune with like what people like about the MCU sometimes. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I think I think I don't know. I feel like you just like see through bullshit sometimes though, right? Like I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Art is subjective, but I feel like often people like the MCU because they want to like it. I feel like that's how I feel about it a lot of the time, and I feel like you don't feel like you owe them that, and so then you enjoy it a little bit less.
I mean, I would
Uh,
be happy if it was like successful and good because the MCU gave me a lot of great movies.
yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe I'm not so quick to forgive them or something.
yeah. I mean, it's just like, or you're not so ready for them to be back, right? Like, I feel like this is in some ways the MCU is like my abusive cinema relationship, where it's like, oh, he's better now, he loves me, and like next weekend, his football team loses and he gets drunk, and it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really excited for F4. But yeah, that's this plug. We plugged a bunch of movies. If you guys don't know how we feel about at least 2 media properties after this plug, you haven't been listening.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. That'll just about do it for episode 31 of A Friendly Orbit. If you want more, you can find us on youtube.com/@afriendlyorbit, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you happen to have any astral echoes you want to leave us, you can email us at afriendlyorbit@gmail.com. All one word.
All right, Ceres. I'll talk to you later. And to all of our fellow Voyagers, we'll catch you out there in our kingdom.
Whee! Good sign off.